Here we go. Rectangles, rhombi, and squares. So, these are all parallelograms. A rectangle is a parallelogram, but it has two new properties. It has 4 right angles, and the diagonals are actually congruent. So that is not true in a regular parallelogram. A regular parallelogram does not have right angles, and the diagonals are not congruent. But when you say that it's a rectangle, it will make 4 right angles, and the actual diagonal lengths will be the same. Now, since the diagonals are congruent, that means when you bisect them, all 4 of these little pieces are going to be congruent. All right? That's a rectangle. A rhombus, again, is a parallelogram, but it has an added couple of characteristics. First thing, a rhombus has 4 congruent sides. So opposite sides, as you can see, are still congruent, but all 4 of them are. That is not the case in a regular parallelogram. In a rhombus, the diagonals are also going to make 90-degree angles. So the diagonals are perpendicular. And the last thing, in a rhombus, it bisects the opposite angles. So if this entire angle was 60, it now gets split into 30 and 30. Okay? And then this would be 60 and 60. So that's what's going to happen when you have a rhombus. Now the last one is pretty much a perfect quadrilateral. It's called a regular quadrilateral because it's a square. It has 4 congruent sides. It has 4 congruent angles. It's got diagonals that are perpendicular. The diagonals are congruent. The diagonals bisect each other. The opposite angles are by every single property from a parallelogram, rectangle, and rhombus all put together is a square. A square is, like I said, the perfect quadrilateral. So what are we going to do? Well, I'm sure you can guess we're going to find missing angle problems, and you're also going to have algebra problems. So we're going to start with the rectangle. Think about what you just learned about a rectangle. All of the angles in the corner are 90 degrees. Now that's 90 degrees total. So you're not going to call angle 2 and angle 3 90, but they better add up to 90. You can always start in the middle because we know vertical angles are going to be congruent. And we also know that a straight line makes a linear pair, so that's going to be 80 for these guys. So that's all we have. So you think you might be stuck, but you're not. If you look up here, you see that all of these diagonals have the same tick mark, which means you have 4 isosceles triangles. So if this is 100 degrees and triangles add up to 180, that means angle 1 and angle 2 are going to be 40 and 40. And obviously that means this is going to be the same down here as well. You're going to have 40 and 40. Now, same thing's going to happen over here. Now there's 2 ways to get angle 3. You did just learn that rectangles all have 90-degree angles, so if that's 40, then this is 50, which means this is also 50, which means this is 50, which means this is 50. But also, isosceles triangles will tell you that if this is 80, then 180 minus 80 is 100. Divide that by 2, you still get those. Okay? So that's an example of find the missing angles with a rectangle. Next one is a rhombus. One of the things you just learned in the rhombus is the fact that all 4 of these guys are 90. So look, you just found 4 angles right off the bat. The other thing you learned is opposite angles are cut in half. So if this guy's 30, this is 30, this is 30, and this is 30. So the last thing you have to do is find one of the remaining 4, and all 4 are going to be that. So what are you going to do? Well, triangles, again, add up to 180. So you can see that we have this top triangle right here. This is 90, and that's 30, so that's 120. So how much is missing? 60, 60, 60, and 60. And that's it. You can check. Every triangle adds up to 180 degrees. The opposite angles are equal. The center angles are 90. You're good to go. Now, remember what I said about a square. A square is pretty much the perfect quadrilateral. It's so perfect, I do not even need to give you any starting angles to figure out all 5 missing angles. Because you know all the corners are 90 and all the middles are 90. So 3 and 4 are 90. But then the last thing is, if 90 gets cut in half, then you have 45, 45, and 45. So that's it. That's just how perfect a square is. You don't even have to give any angle measures to be able to find them all. All right, moving right along. Now we have algebra problems. Again, you have to apply the properties. So in the first one, we have a rectangle. AE is given as x plus 2. And from B all the way to D is given as 4x minus 6. Now, you cannot set x plus 2 equal to 4x minus 6, because that's like saying this little teeny tiny piece right here is equal to that entire big piece, which is obviously false. But we do know in a rectangle all 4 of these pieces are the same. So that means this piece is also x plus 2. So what you had to do is double this, so you actually have 2x plus 4 is equal to 4x minus 6. And then all you have to do is solve for x, so you're going to get 10 is equal to 2x, so x is equal to 5, and you are done. Next one, a rhombus. We're going to solve for x and y. Right off the bat, you know all of these are 90 degrees in a rhombus. Well, you should know that. It's one of the properties you need to know about a rhombus. So right off the bat, we're just going to set that equal to 90. So 4x is equal to 100, so x is equal to 25. Now 25 has nothing to do with finding y. What you need to remember about a rhombus is also the fact that it has 4 congruent sides. So in a parallelogram, you need to have the opposite sides. But in a rhombus, any 2 sides will work. So for that, you're just going to set 3y plus 5 equal to 35. So 3y is equal to 30, so y is equal to 10. That's it. So, last question. Notice it's starred. That means it's a challenge problem. I am telling you that the length of AC, the whole length of AC, is 12. I am telling you that the entire length, now careful with what happens here, remember what happens when you intersect. The whole thing from B to D is 16. Now that 12 just got split into 6 and 6, and BD just got split into 8 and 8. Now, I'm wondering, do you think you can find the perimeter of this rhombus? If so, pause the video and give it a try. And then when you get it correct, you can raise your hand, bend your elbow, and pat yourself on the back, because that is a job well done. So think about it for a minute. Pause the video, and as soon as you're ready, press play and we'll see if you got it right. So, you have to remember that all of these are 90 degrees on the inside. As soon as you know that those are 90 degrees on the inside, you can see that you have a right triangle, so it's just the Pythagorean Theorem. 6 squared plus 8 squared is equal to, we'll call it x squared. That's going to give you x is equal to 10. So if all sides are 10, the perimeter is 40. And if you got that, job well done. All right, that's it for rectangles, rhombi, and squares. This is Longo, and I'm out. See you, bye.